my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Pursuit of Cabin Living series by 4Expedition. I'm Scott Luthold. It's mid-March. We're here at the cabin. We've been doing a lot of work on the inside. It's been pretty cold outside. We've had some pretty sporadic weather. One week we might have a fresh foot of snow on the ground, and the next week it might be sunny and warm, and we're walking around in t-shirts. It's really quite odd, and it's very different from the winters that I grew up with in the Midwest. And I think Heather would probably also attest to that. She really got tired of the winters in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan because it was always gloomy outside, and that's definitely not been the case here. Generally speaking, we'll have a storm, and then after that the sun will come out, the skies will be blue, and the snow will start to melt off, and it'll be nice and warm. And it's really been quite remarkable. And we've had a sort of a variance between winter and spring for the last couple of weeks. Because our driveway is a complete mud bog mess, and that's definitely something that I'm going to have to deal with coming up here real soon. We've almost made it through our first winter season. That's pretty exciting. I would say that we have another month of winter probably. The ski resort here in Angel Fire closes tomorrow, which is pretty surprising. It's fairly early. The snow is actually still really good. I was able to go out skiing with my friend Damon yesterday morning and just had a really wonderful time. But unfortunately, I think that's probably going to be my last skiing of the season. And then we'll be getting into spring and into summer and planning our wedding and doing all those kinds of things. Anyway, we've been out having a good time, adventuring and working on the cabin. We have a lot to share with you. I really hope you enjoy this episode, so sit back and enjoy the ride. All right, so a couple of months ago, we bought snowshoe kits at Costco down in Santa Fe, and we've been waiting for the right time to use them, and unfortunately, we haven't had enough snow. Well, last night we got a foot of fresh snow. It's absolutely beautiful outside, and we're going to give it a try, so check these out. These snowshoe kits are really awesome. They came with a bag. You got the snowshoes. They came with trekking poles, and you could choose from 3 different sizes. The sizes were small, medium, large. These are mediums. The mediums were orange. The smalls were, I think, blue or green, and the larges were either blue or green. So really nice setup. I really don't think that these are something that you could buy at a Costco in Arizona anywhere. I've never seen them before. And we had been looking to buy some snowshoes and really couldn't find anything affordable, nor could we find anything really all that available. All right, here we go.
I'm coming.
All right, let's give this a try. Yeah, pull it tight and then lock it down. And then put that little dealio.
I just had to make sure I have the same amount on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. Looking good. Boy, it is so refreshing to get out into this snow. Gorgeous blue skies. Made this road last summer, coming out of the backside of our property. Most of you may remember last fall, this land was burned off. I talked a little bit about that. And as it turns out, it gets burned off twice a year. And I would guess that's has a little to do with creating a rich soil for lots of tall grass and so forth for cattle grazing, because even though this is state land, there are permits that people obtain in order to be able to allow their cattle to graze here. If you look over here, let me zoom in. That mountain right over there is Wheeler Peak. That's the tallest peak in the state of New Mexico. It's 13,153 feet. And we We're going to go back into the forest where it's nice and calm and quiet and a lot warmer. Well, Heather and I have been talking about going winter camping, and that conversation lasted about 10 minutes. It's definitely warm enough, I would say, in the forest to winter camp, but we may just postpone that until the next snowfall. Pretty much after every single snowfall, we get blue skies and bright sun, and things start to melt off pretty quickly. So our next big snowfall, we may be more prepared and put on some backpacks and our snowshoes and go out and do a little bit of winter camping overnight. That should be a lot of fun, but for now, we're gonna skip it.
Okay.
You'd rather stay in the cabin at night with toasty, warm pellet stove and heated blanket in your bed?
Yeah, hot cocoa.
Well, I definitely think the poles are a matter of preference. I don't think they're absolutely necessary, but it is kind of nice to have, especially if it gets deep and if we get on a pretty steep incline. Now we're back on our property. This whole area, by the way, you can see this big meadow clearing here. This is where I intend to host more intimate Team 4X overland meetups right here. Vehicles will be able to come out and park right here, then come over to the cabin, and we'll have cookouts and all sorts of other things. We also plan on building the chapel on the other side of these trees right here, and over here we're going to have a little bunkhouse. So right over in this area here where the telephone pole is, if you can see that, that's where the barn's going to go. So this area will always be left wide open for overland experiences, inviting people out to our property for workshops and things like that. These guys are right on the back of our property. Hi. It's okay. Hi.
I wish we had snacks. You didn't bring any snacks.
We can get some grass here. You're beautiful. Have you been staying warm? Have you been staying warm? My friend Lucinda Vetti, she's a equine facilitator down in Amado, Arizona, and she actually went to school for it. She was an attorney before that and decided that she wanted to spend her life working with horses. So she went to school for experiential learning instruction. So I've gone down to her property down there in Amado, and you go out there and you can stay. She and a friend live on a beautiful adobe ranch, and they have a bed and breakfast down there called Reveling Raven. If you have never experienced staying in a true adobe ranch house, definitely consider going down there and checking it out. But anyway, I've gone and taken a couple of her workshops, and she puts you in a corral with a horse, and generally speaking, it's a horse you don't really know that well. You don't ride them, you don't control them. You basically learn to work with them, and they learn to trust you, and there's this whole trust feature of the experience. It's really beautiful. I don't really feel like I need to own any horses. Do you? It's really just nice to be able to come out here on our own property, right on the back of our own property, and experience horses anytime we want. Home sweet home. Well, today I finally got caught up on a number of things, and we're going to go ahead and get a few things done in the cabin. It's probably, let's see here, looks like we're looking at about 40 degrees, maybe 39 degrees outside in the shade. It's probably about 45 in the sun. One of the things we got done this morning was a really nice thing we needed to get done. This microwave is actually a space saver microwave, and we got that hung finally. And then, yeah, Heather, you want to go ahead and put the lights on? We installed some LED lighting, which is really nice. And so our kitchen is well on its way. We showed you this a little earlier, that we hung those cabinets. I still have some trim work to do around the windows, and we've been tossing around the idea of getting these cabinets painted finally. I think what we're going to do, we have a kind of a dark rust color. We're going to paint these, and then we're going to stain over them with a sort of a brown stain that'll kind of make them look a little aged. But this kitchen is almost done. It's looking really great. We're really happy with it.
Bigger than they always seem like.
So one nice thing is we happen to have a whole bunch of extra OSB. I think we ended up having about 5 or 6 full sheets and then 2 or 3 partial sheets. And what's really nice about that is that the price of OSB has skyrocketed, and we're sitting on some of the stuff that we got for the cheaper price last summer. So we've had it covered up over here, and we're going to use it and get the inside of the cabin, the closet wall, sort of closed in. Well, that's kind of an exciting development. We've got all the OSB up in the closet, which closes up the bathroom into its own private room for once. We're going to go ahead and put some tongue and groove on the inside of this here. I've got to relocate this here. This was, we were originally going to have the sink going this direction, and this was going to come up through the floor. Now we've decided to move the sink over to this wall here, so we relocated some of the electrical here, and I've got to cut this off down under the floor and run it back and then come up through the floor on this side. We decided to do that because the sink would impede on entering the shower. We did screw up on one thing on the shower. The shower looks really nice, but as you can see, we've got the dial here and the doors over here. So when you reach in to turn on the water, you get soaked pretty much every time by cold water. It's not something we can change now. It is what it is. And every time we come across something that's we consider to be a flaw, we just say, well, this is a cabin. So at the moment, what we're going to do is just paint this OSB board. It'll be fine. We're going to hang a cabinet. We'll probably come back here and put some white paneling of some kind on this wall but it'll be behind closed doors in the closet, so it doesn't really matter too much. Well, as you can see, we've got a lot of snow coming down out here. It's a Sunday morning. Heather and I are going to go for a ride in the side-by-side and just kind of see what kind of adventures we can get ourselves into.
We're taking Max out for a walk. Getting all ready.
Well, we got our Max tracks, we got a shovel, we got first aid, we got some extra straps, we got the winch on the front. Let's go for a little ride. Blast through it?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's like trees down.
We might need to bring a chainsaw when we do these kinds of trips.
We don't own a chainsaw.
Well, I think it doesn't mean we don't need to bring one.
Alright, we're going to find our way around this guy.
Since this big tree's over the road, let's take a little walk and just see what we can find down around here. There might be a way for us to clear a little bit of this out of here and just drive over this right here, I bet. I think we can get over that. Should we give it a try? Okay, looks like it's pretty clear back here. We're gonna go ahead and try to clear a bit of this brush out of here and just drive over here.
we helped clear land area trail for other people coming back here. Good to go. See what else we can find. Good job, love.
Huh? Over that one? Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay.
Surprisingly, this little thing doesn't have much clearance, but it does pretty well with these stock tires.
Go up over here and around so you can hop in, I think.
Snowing.
It is snowing well. Come on, baby.
Oh,
Woohoo! There we go.
sure. Look at the snow right here, the depth. Back up a little more than that, dear. That is a deep pile.
That is deep.
Let's see how
Here we go.
deep.
Ready?
Ready? Jeez. Whoa! Never underestimate a windshield wiper. I think we're going to invest in one by next winter. What do you think?
Definitely getting a windshield wiper.
It's whiteout conditions.
So it's really kind of funny, you know, when you get out here into these remote areas, it's still snowing all around us. There's this amazing ridge line here, and our windows had been freezing over. Then the sun poked through here. It's super, super bright. I really need some sunglasses. But once the sun pokes through, everything starts to melt off the windshield. It's just so beautiful out here. Boy, we both just love being out here. It's so quiet, so peaceful. It's really cool. You scare up herds of elk, other wildlife. We see woodpeckers and other things. What a wonderful place. Well, we made it home. Time to go in and have a little bit of hot chocolate. Look at how beautiful it is after a fresh snowfall. Yeah, I know. Still haven't taken down the sign. Clean all this stuff off of here so the birds can get to the bird seed. You I thought I'd take a second to talk about how proud I am of Heather and I. And this is something that I say to her on a regular basis. I say, honey, I'm just so proud of us. And we might be doing dishes or making some dinner in the kitchen, or maybe I'm taking a hot shower, or we're sitting on our little couch in the den in the bedroom watching a show. And I just can't help but think in the back of my mind just how proud I am of our accomplishment. To me, this is such a monumental thing that we've set out to achieve. And as I mentioned in our last video, in this short period of time, we've also paid the property off. We created a shelter, we created a warm, cozy environment, and we turned it into a home. And to me, that is just so monumental, and I just am so proud of that accomplishment. And something that's really interesting, I used to take for granted, I've owned homes in the past. I've owned several homes. I've never paid one off, so I shouldn't say I own them. I was given the opportunity to live in a home by the bank, put it that way, but this is the first time I've actually ever paid off a home. I have to say that I've learned to really truly appreciate the nuances of life. For instance, the fact that I can stand under a shower head and maintain hot water, or the fact that when I turn on the faucet in the kitchen, I get running water with pressure, or the fact that we sit on the couch and maybe watch a streaming show and it actually plays. Sometimes this area has fiber optic internet and we haven't had it set up yet. So we've been using more of a cellular internet connection, and sometimes it works great and other times it doesn't work at all. So we might sit down to watch a show and the television doesn't play anything at all, and other times we can. But on the nights that we sit down to watch the television and it doesn't play, we can't pick up internet, it's not streaming, we just get up off the couch and we go and sit and play guitar. We practice guitar, or maybe we listen to music and we dance. So we've learned to really sort of make adjustments as needed based on what's being provided. And I think that is something that we should all learn a lot more of. How to really truly appreciate the nuances of life, how to roll with the punches, how to live with what we've been provided and still enjoy life and create an enriched life. And that's just something that's really been lost, I think, in modern society. And I think the more that people leave modern society and go out into the woods and build their own shelter and learn to live with nature, we learn to respect the environment, we learn to appreciate our natural resources, and we learn to sort of live more in harmony with life and not feel like we're constantly thinking in the future or, concerned about the past. All these are things that we do when we're so tied up in our modern society. So I would encourage more people to get out there, find a piece of land, build yourself a little cabin in the woods and learn what it's truly like to live off the land, to live in harmony with nature and all of that. Anyway, that's a little bit of what I wanted to share with you all in this episode. Well, good morning, my friends. I have to tell you, the weather here is pretty bizarre, to be honest. It is now March 15th, and as you've seen throughout this episode, we've done a lot of outdoor winter adventures, snowshoeing and riding around in the side-by-side and all of that. And then, of course, today is March 15th, and it's going to be 50 degrees today and sunny. So the snow has largely melted off in the matter of a couple of days. And I've heard that that is a pretty common thing here, that we can get a foot or 2 feet of snow. And within a day or two, all the snow is melted off the roads. There's no ice on the roads. The skies are blue. The sun is out. And you can sit outside in your t-shirt. And we've definitely done some of that this winter. Well, today we are going to get some drywall work done in the bathroom. So over the last week, we've purchased some old rough-sawn barnwood type material to go in the bathroom. And in order to mount that, we want to do that vertically. And in order to mount that, we need to be able to mount that to something. The trouble is, the cost of everything is astronomical right now. So one sheet of OSB board, which is basically like plywood, is like $60 almost. Well, the cheapest thing we could find to put on the walls to adhere this wood to was sheetrock. And the sheetrock sheets, for the same size sheetrock sheet as the size of an OSB board, is $15 in comparison to $55, $58 for the OSB. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the drywall on the wall in the bathroom. We did buy a drywall that is mildew resistant. And then, you know, you really can't do finishing nails with the wood on drywall that well. So what we're probably going to do is liquid nails. So we're going to put the vertical wood up with liquid nails. And then I'm not sure if we're going to do the entire bathroom in the vertical barnwood, or if we're going to put some sort of like a chair rail around at some on some walls, so it's more like a wainscoting. And then above that, Heather's got some really cool process we're considering doing. I forget what she called it. I'm sure she'll tell you later on, but we're thinking about tearing out pages of an old book on birds. So let's see, we can find some old book on birds that has beautiful watercolor illustrations of birds, and it talks about their details about each bird. And we're thinking about tearing out pages like that and then gluing them to the walls on one wall. So that's it's almost like a wallpaper, but instead it's beautiful old pictures and text about birds. So that's one idea that we have, and I'll probably have Heather share a little bit more about that with you once we get to that process. Right now, it's pretty crazy. I got to show you something. This morning, I built this wooden bridge because the ground is still frozen at the moment, but we have got a serious mud bog forming here. And I'm not really sure what to do about it other than nothing, and then just wait for summer to come and go back through and maybe bring in 3 or 4 loads of gravel or something like that to build this all up. But it's getting pretty deep. We've got probably about 3-4 inches deep ruts here going. And I've been discouraging the UPS driver from coming in the driveway at all. I go out to the end of the driveway to get any orders that he might have to deliver. But, you know, the best thing you can do right now is, while the ground is still frozen, build some sort of a wooden bridge. So that's what I've done here, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on this drywall and see what we can get done today. Yeah, so the sheetrock that we bought, as I mentioned, has mildew resistance to it. So we paid a little bit extra for it. And I think one side is blue and one side's gray for that reason. But we're kind of thinking about putting the gray out, just because if we get any shrinkage of our finishing wood, you'll see, you know, gray or brown through it as opposed to blue. But I think if we really want to take advantage of the mildew resistance, we probably need to put the blue out. All right, so there's a couple of different methods for cutting drywall. Generally, when you're cutting drywall, you have to deal with things like outlets and light switches and light fixtures and things like that. And some people like to do what's called the lipstick method, where you take lipstick and you color it on a receptacle box, for instance. And then you take your drywall and press it up against there. And on the back of the drywall, then you'll end up having this lipstick mark where you can easily cut it out. I'm not really all for that idea. I'm much better at just measuring what I need and then cutting based on measurements. So what I did was I took a sheet of paper and I drew out and measured and drew out a template. Coming out here, I'm going to cut that piece the way I need it, and I'll draw in where I want the holes for receptacle covers and things like that. And I'm pretty good at measuring. I've spent the last 35 years doing some pretty minute incremental measurements, and so I'm pretty good at all that. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut the first piece right now and see how it goes. All right, so we got our measurements done here. We've got our first receptacle hole here. I'm cutting 2 inches off, and that will be this entire sheet. We may cut this in half the long way, across, because it's so long we might not be able to fit it in the doorway in our bathroom. But if we decide to do that, we're not going to cut it right at the middle. We're going to cut it way below middle, because we may end up doing only a sort of a wainscoting with the wood. So we want to have that seam below the chair rail. Lift. Good. Good job.
Good handle that you cut out.
Okay. Here's the trouble.
What?
Okay.
I'm back is fine. You can put my back.
There we go. Good job. Okay. Now we gotta go up the middle. Got this nice big piece in. We didn't have to cut anything off, just had to make a few holes. And as I mentioned, rather than doing the lipstick method, I actually did the measuring. And it's not too bad. This one's a little bit off. We can fix that pretty easily. And then this down here is a wall heater. Got a couple of these in the house. Coming together, looking good. All right, well, I'm very proud. We got most of this drywall done. We've got this last section above the shower, so I'm going to show you that. Basically, our shower head is in the corner, and so in order to make this actually work, we're going to build a wall that's on an angle of the corner. And so you can see those horizontal 2x4s. We put those in there as braces, and so we've cut a piece of wood that's going to be angled from, I guess, right about here to right about here. And then we'll drill a 1-inch hole in it with a hole saw and see if we can make that go up. Once that's in, then we'll go ahead and finish the drywall up here, and then we'll be done.
You do beautiful work, young man.
Look at that. So basically what we have here is I'm going to screw this in here and here and here and here, and then we'll put drywall up to here. We probably won't put drywall on here because we're going to cover this with a custom, really cool, thin, sort of almost like a veneer barnwood that we have coming in the next week. But this will help here and just keep this thing in order, and if we ever need to take it off, we can just unscrew these and it'll be pretty easy.
I'm proud of you.
Looks pretty good. All right, we're on our last cut. On Heather's right shoulder there, I'm getting ready to cut that piece. This is looking really, really good. Check it out.
Check it out. I don't have enough leverage.
Oh, you need my help?
Oh, jeez.
Well, we're on our last cut, and I have to tell you, every time we do different projects like this, Heather and I say to each other, that's a job I never want to do for a living. One of them is roofing, another one is chinking, and gosh, drywalling is definitely another one. Well, we got our last cuts. We got 2 small pieces to cut for the drywall, and then we'll be done with that piece. And then we just have to wait until all of our rough sawn barnwood veneer comes. All right, my friends, I think that's it for this episode of the Pursuit of Cabin Living series by 4Expedition. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it. If you haven't become a subscriber to my channel, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button. Of course, be sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when videos go live. And if you consider yourself to be an adventurer and you're looking for an adventure community, consider joining Team 4X by going to 4expedition.com/join to learn more. Until the next time, take care.